Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.
Welcome to the Great Debaters Contest. We're in the Nakuru region finding the best of debate. I am your host, Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Yombok. The motion today is internationally constituted bodies should be assigned to combat corruption globally. We have Anestar Victory versus Bahati Girls Secondary. Mariam, what are they going to give it?
As always, I'll let the debaters decide. Proposal number 1, you have 3 minutes.
You see, I would rather fail in a course that is deemed to succeed than succeed in a course that is deemed to fail. Five Mangich, Bahati Girls, strongly proposing this motion. First, I'd like to start with a stark and simple definition of key terms. Internationally constituted bodies. These are organizations that are made up of 2 or more countries assigned. This is to give something or somebody work or responsibility. Combat. This is to stop something unpleasant from getting worse. Corruption, this is dishonest or illegal behavior, especially from people in authority, and globally is affecting the whole world. Moving on. Corruption is like a cancer that's eating up our very own existence. This includes embezzling of funds and bribery, just to mention but a few. First, let's talk about the failure of local anti-corruption bodies to implement existing laws. This is echoed by Philip Kinisu, the ESCC chairman, quote unquote. The failure of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to fight corruption is the lack of determination to implement and enforce existing laws. A report by Transparency International shows that the most corrupt countries globally are, get me right, Somalia, South Sudan, North Korea, and Syria. So let's take North Korea, for example. It has the Korea Independent Commission Against Corruption, which was formed in January 2002 and directly reports to the president. So in 2001, the North Korean parliament had passed a law on bribery. It's called the Bribery Law 2002. Yet, get me my friends, yet, North Korea is rated amongst the most corrupt countries. What does this show? This shows that the local or individual anti-corruption commissions formed by certain countries are not efficient. And that is why we need international bodies to handle corruption. Do you know why? Do you know why? We need international bodies to handle corruption because they will not dare, and I mean it, they will not dare fail in their work because they will be kept on toes by the member states. Thank you.
We have the gentleman now. You have 3 minutes for your opening statements.
There are only 2 ultimatums in this world, and that is facts and fiction. And I'm a man of facts. I'm not a man of fiction. So you better all prepare your notebooks because what I'm giving you are straight facts, the truth and nothing but the truth. I'm here to confidently oppose the motion that states international constituted bodies should be applied to combat corruption totally. When making these investigations and digging deep into whatever they'll be doing, or maybe going into facts of the government, these people may unearth some conspiracies which maybe are webbed to other superpowers. And do you know what this will cause? Superpowers are not ready to go down and their name thrashed by the fact that they are corrupt. So they'll be willing to do everything. And this includes even going into war. We are not here to start wars. What we are here to do is to stop corruption. So I don't really think that these international anti-corruption bodies will help us. What I do think they'll do, I think that they'll bring war. And what we want is not war. What we want is a country and a nation and a world free from corruption. Ulterior motives hidden beneath the agenda of combating corruption. So what this means is that these people, obviously, when they are investigating, they will obviously go to those top secrets of the government in question. And after going through these top secrets, they will get maybe the secrets of the country. And the government in question will have no option but to entrust these international bodies with their secrets. And do you know what this means? This means that the national secrets that are in question are not secrets anymore. What is a secret anyway? They say that there is no secret shared between two people. And in this case, there are no secrets shared between two nations. So these international anti-corruption bodies will only be here in other motives rather than stopping corruption. And these motives are maybe to blackmail these countries with their secrets. What else can they do with the secrets? I don't really think that these anti-corruption bodies will be here to help us. So I do ask you people to get back to reality and join us to oppose this motion, and let us understand that our way out of corruption is not anti-corruption, international anti-corruption bodies. Thank you.
Bahati girls, you have 3 minutes for your rebuttal.
Saddam Hussein, the former president of Iraq, was executed on the 30th of December 2006, a verdict that was given by the Supreme Iraq Criminal Tribunal. Now, this verdict provoked a lot of criticism from Muslim countries. For example, India, which holds up to 120 million Muslims. Now, this criticism would have been prevented if the case was tried by ICC, and this is as reported by the United Nations Group of Arbitrary Detention. Judy Wanjiro, Bahati girls, and I propose this motion. The opposers said that the international anti-corruption commissions will unveil the secrets of a country. Now, I have a question. The ICC prosecuted the famous Ocampo 6. Tell me, other than the famous secret that we were facing post-election violence, which Kenyan secret was unveiled? On to my first point. Like PLO Lumumba, I refuse that this country should run on the wheel of negative ethnicity, where one's ethnic extraction is a touchstone of ability. I am talking about tribalism. Tribalism is one of the major challenges that is facing the local anti-corruption commissions. Let's talk about Anne Waiguru with the famous NYS scandal. When she was summoned to the Anti-Corruption Commission Integrity House, a horde of Kikuyu supporters followed her and camped outside the building in the famous show of Fidelity. When Charity Ngilu was accused of corruption in the water ministry, the Kamba community, a large percentage of the Kamba community, backed her up and supported by saying that Charity Ngilu was innocent of the accusations. Really? Tribalism? Will we allow this to hinder even the most innocent of commissions in this country to work? I'm talking about tribalism being a hindrance in anti-corruption work. Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, we'll have your rebuttal now. You have 3 minutes.
I'm surprised, and that's not my name. Rather, I'm surprised because of what the proposers just said from this podium right here. You are a hard bargain, but I'm a harder sell either way, so I'm not yet convinced. First proposer, you spoke of Transparency International. Let's air the dirty laundry so you know. I am Roy Kimani, and I'll convince you why I'm opposing the motion that states internationally constituted bodies should be assigned to combat corruption globally by stating a few facts. In 2008, this year, Siemens, a German-based international technology corporation, paid one of the most expensive corporate corruption fines in history. The fine amounted to 1.6 billion US dollars. The fine was quite a large amount of money. So these guys are financially stable, it's evident. They could afford it. Moving on, 7 years later, in 2015, Transparency International received $3 million from Siemens. And Transparency International is ranked one of the top 5 anti-corruption corporations in the world globally. This was seen as a donation, but it was later brought into the limelight by an insider that the $3 million was a gesture by Siemens aimed at greenwashing their reputation. The act of applying for and receiving money was contrary to the due diligence policy of such international corporations that prohibits them from receiving any funds from individuals, countries, or any corporation. So is Transparency International really helping out, or is it joining the rest in corruption, right? Okay. I guess you're wondering why I'm saying all these facts. It's because I'm certain of my statistics from Wikipedia, which was last updated on 13th April 2017. Look it up. My point is that these internationally constituted bodies are prone to bribery. And you know, bribery is using money to get what you want, right? Yeah, it is. Bribery is usually the scapegoat for a large number of the guilty. They say, for the right amount, anything has a price. Pun intended, I repeat, pun intended, in this world we live in, what doesn't? Thank you.
Thank you to the audience for those questions. The proposition have been asked, if we mandated, if the mandate of corruption fell on international bodies, what would happen to local anti-corruption bodies? And of course, the opposition have been asked to give alternatives to curb corruption, if not using international bodies. We'll have them respond. Third proposer, you have 3 minutes.
From Bahati Girls Secondary, a prudent patriot of this nation, I'm Warrior Ngigi, standing very strong and undeterred this afternoon to propose the motion that states internationally constituted bodies should be assigned to combat corruption globally. To respond to the question posed to me by the beautiful Rebecca, simple. The internal body set aside to fight against corruption will be dissolved because, as far as I'm concerned, they are not doing enough to fight corruption in the countries. Now, moving on to the reasons why I take this stand of proposing this motion. One of them includes funding. The words of Woko Kaleka, the CEO EACC, and I quote, "We need more cash, more space, more people, more equipment," end of quote. Surprise, I looked it up. Now, the EACC demanded for up to 7.9 billion Kenya shillings to fund most of its vital projects in the fight against corruption. The Kenya Treasury could only afford 2.3 billion. This is merely a third of what the EACC required. The big C, corruption, is one of the biggest menace that is facing countries globally. Therefore, there is need for a lot of funding. There is need for heavy funding in order to fight corruption. Clearly, a good example, our own Kenya, the countries are not able to fully finance the anti-corruption bodies in their very own countries. But if we join hands as countries, if we join hands as nations, we will be in a position to generate enough funds to support the internationally constituted bodies in the fight against corruption. Secondly, the major stumbling block of EACC, according to Philip Kinisu, is political interference. Between March and May 2015, the commissioners of EACC walked out of their offices due to political pressure. Among the challenges facing corruption-fighting bodies in Papua New Guinea is the belief that powerful people in government are unreachable and untouchable. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a problem we could eradicate by proposing the motion that I'm proposing. by proposing the motion that I support. Because, of course, when nation and nation join hands, we'll be able to create a body that will fight corruption, and its actions will not be ignored at by political activities. Warrior Ngigi, Bahati Girls. Gratitude.
Gentlemen, you have 3 minutes to respond.
I still carry the mantle of facts. Now, for the question posed to us, you are asking how to curb corruption internally if not using the international corporations. Well, let me tell you this. Only a coward can create demons and be too scared to face them. Get what I mean? We are Kenya, and corruption didn't come by boat. My dear sister, we created it. And so we're supposed to deal with it like men. And I say men because the Bible itself says men, meaning both men and women. Thank you. As stated earlier about Transparency International, and let me shock you a bit more about Transparency International. If you did your research well, Transparency International was only one of the top 100, and Transparency International was listed as one of the top 5 anti-corruption commissions internationally. Well, if you wanted better facts and cleaner corporations, well, you should have looked elsewhere. Transparency International, as stated earlier by my colleague here, that $3 million that was paid to them by Siemens, let's see where it went. Now, Transparency International USA got $660,000. Transparency International Italy got $600,000. Transparency International Bulgaria got $450,000. Transparency International Mexico, $230,000. And the list goes on and on and on. Now, shock on you, it's like this. When have you ever heard of the United States of America appearing on the corruption index, which, surprise, 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 was still posted by who? Transparency International. Now, look at it this way. All these funds go to these major superpowers, USA, Italy, Bulgaria, and Mexico. What happens to countries like us in Kenya? The corruption index states that the first most corrupt country in the world is Sierra Leone, followed by Liberia, and shock on you, Kenya is number 3. Why don't I hear of a Transparency International found in Kenya? We only hear of the USA and Italy. Now, what do I base my point solely on? Superior states having more influence on the constituted bodies since they basically invented them. Because look at this, the headquarters of Transparency International are in Germany. When have you heard of Transparency International stepping into the country, as in Kenya, to help us? We have the ESCC to do that, don't we? So as far as I'm concerned, since we don't get their help, why don't we do it ourselves? I mean, we're supposed to be responsible for ourselves, ain't we? Thank you.
Proposition, you have a minute.
My late father's wish, Joseph Ngigi, before he died, God rest his soul, is that I become a ping pong player. Now, despite the love and respect I have for my father, I chose basketball. This is my reason. There is absolutely zero difference between the way we handle corruption in Kenya and a ping pong ball. Both of them bounce from one player to another. Everyone is always innocent and everyone is always guilty. Typical. Now, in 2002, the Korea Independent Commission was formed to fight corruption. And now, 15 years later, North Korea is still among the top most corrupt countries in the world. Clearly, bodies formed by individual countries have failed in the fight against corruption. It's time we engage internationally constituted bodies. Accept that you have failed. Quit ping pong and let's shoot baskets to win. Thank you.
Anestar Victory, you have a minute for your final conclusion.
Marcus Tullius Cicero, a Roman orator, said that appetitus rationi pariat, which means let your desires be ruled by reason. What do we desire in this world? A world free of corruption, don't we? Well, let's look at it this way. You speak of international bodies. Well, maybe you're misunderstanding the fact, because I also looked up on your facts on the proposition side. international anti-corruption bodies are not supposed to do the investigations for you and prosecute anybody. They're only supposed to implement strategies and tactics and hand them over to you to implement them yourselves so that the prosecutions can happen on your own soil. They're supposed to respect the rule of sovereignty, which is among their policies as an international corporation. Thank you. Now, let me end with this. God made man, man made money, and money made man mad. Why do I say this? You say corruption is based on a lot of things, but look at it this way. Corruption is made up of money. Either way, money has to come in. Thank you.
You know, Warrior, I think you still stand out in a way because of I think you have a style of your own that just brings some confidence. However, I could notice that towards the end, there was something that was happening. I couldn't tell much, but the ending was very good. Judy as well, very good examples, good speaker, and Faur as well, good citations and good start. What was happening across the board for your team is that you were not utilizing fully your time. That simply means you needed more research to be done.
Kevin, good preparation. You prepared us very well for your presentation. You were able to grab and hold the attention of the audience. We were just waiting for those facts that you had promised. But then when they came, they did not have the force that you made us believe they would. So the point wasn't as strong as you made us believe it would, but you grabbed our attention in a very good way. Roy, a humorous start always works in your favor. We want to have fun. Yes, we are talking about SDGs and development, but some humor is good. The sources and citations about Siemens was very good. Keep that up. Kate, your issues on Transparency International, the citations as well, were very good. And you have your facts at your fingertips. You are confident and you have a flow of argument that makes us just want to listen to you. You have both done very well. We are very proud of you. Keep it up and all the best.
The results are in. Anestar victory, boys. And Bahati girls. The difference is just 1 point. 1 point. Anestar victory, you have 68%. Please give them a round of applause. And Bahati girls, you were awarded 69%. You're our winners for the debate.
Congratulations to Bahati girls, and of course a good job to Anestar victory boys. Thank you to our in-studio audience and you at home for watching. Be sure to give us your feedback on social media. On Twitter, we're found at Great Debaters EA. I am Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Nyambok. Thank you for watching.
The Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.